Hi everyone, I'm Victoria, the singer of the band Surma, and I'm here to talk about our debut album The Light Within, which was released in November 2020 on Metal Blade Records. The album starts with the intro called Rendition. The point of this intro is to introduce you to the mood of the album. Because the album inspirations were mostly sculptures, we see the intro like something that you start to build from scratch. That is why we call it Rendition. Intro is a work of our friend and excellent symphonic composer Lars Winter, who got inspired by a melody of the song Fire and Wind and made an intro from it. I added some high vocals and voila! Now we are getting to the main point of the album. The first full track and our first single revealed The Light Within. The song begins with an epic choir chorus. The mood of the song is very optimistic and full of hope. Like I mentioned already before, the album is inspired by different sculptures and statues. This particular song is about a sculpture expansion by Paige. It is a wonderful sculpture of women sitting in the lotus position. What makes it special is the lighting system that makes you see the light within the sculpture. Extraordinary work. This art was or is in Brooklyn. I'm not sure if it's still there because there was a petition about the position of the statue. What I wanted to say with this song is that we should follow our passion, what we really love to do, and get out of the box we are trying to fit into and to stay in. Third track, Like the River Flows. It is a song combining my soft melodic vocals with Harry's growl. The inspiration for the song was a fountain in Prague called Dancing Fountain or The Czech Musicians by Chromy and Wagner. The whole fountain implies 5 dancing blindfolded musicians. Each of the musicians represents some river. Every time I see the art, I just see blindfolded musicians, which is the dark side. But because they are dancing and playing, that adds a bright side. So vocally I represent the bright side and Harry the dark side. The story is that he is the one whom the darkness is consuming because he doesn't even try to fight it, and I am the one who tries to help him to find the bright side. Basically, you can feel like nothing makes sense to you anymore, you feel depressed, but it is also about the point of view. I believe we can focus on the positive things, and that will help us fight and destroy depression. Of course, it is much easier said than done. Fire and Wind, the fourth track about a sculpture called The Force of Nature by Lorenzo Quinn. He said, "We live with a false sense of security only to be awakened by Mother Nature's fury. After having seen the ravaged coast of Thailand and the hurricane that affected the southern states, Quinn decided to create a sculpture dedicated to Mother Nature. The song is about how we humans are at the mercy of the elements." The first ballad is here. It is track number 5 and it's named Desire. Well, we've got into the first track that is not inspired by any sculpture. I wrote this song when I was a teenager and I was heartbroken. I think that this strong feeling I had about a musician disappeared already after 2 weeks. But at the very moment of the concert when I spoke to him, I was extremely emotional and this melody just appeared in my head. I composed some basic orchestrations to it already back then, but Harry and Lars helped me to make it perfect for the album. Oh, track number 6, The City of Winds, has probably the most precise story on the album. We've got inspired by Ali&Nino, The Statue of Love by Tamara Kvesitadze. Sorry for the pronunciation of the name. It is a moving steel statue in Georgia and Tamara took the inspiration from the book story Ali&Nino. There is a movie as well. Interesting fact is that we do not know for sure who wrote the original story and if it's based on a true story. The tragic love story ends with Ali&Nino separated by the invasion of Soviet Russia. I represent Nino and Harry Ali in the song. Track number 7 with the name Kópakonan, the Selkie. As most of you know, Harry, our guitar player and composer, is from the Faroes. Kópakonan is the Faroese name for the Selkie, which is the seal woman. The sculpture of the Selkie by Hans Pauli Olsen is inspired by one of the best-known folk tales in the Faroes. Seals were believed to be former human beings who voluntarily sought death in the ocean. The song has a strong sailing vibe. It actually reminds me a bit of some pirate hymn. And this is a dance we always use when we hear this track. Okay, enough. Number 8 belongs to our second single Until It Rains Again, and also to the second song, which is not inspired by any sculpture. When I made the melody, I loved the difference of the mood between the verse and chorus. It reminds me of my moods sometimes. I immediately knew that it will be about the ups and downs we experience in life. It is natural to have some depressions, but again, we should never give up and look for the light at the end of the tunnel. We are not perfect, we are human beings with emotions and different moods and characters, and we can't always feel perfectly fine. But hey, life really worth the fight. Then on the other side, life may be worth the fight. Emptiness is no more, is on the 9th track position, and it is the second ballad in our album. It is also, along with Desire, the very first song I wrote. To begin with, it had very bad and different lyrics because of my English was even worse back then than it is now. So Harry helped me to rewrite the lyrics. Our sculpture inspiration was Melancholy, created by Gyorgy, and it can be found at Lake Geneva in Switzerland. The sculpture shows literally an empty person sitting sadly on a bench. Gyorgy created this one when he felt intense sadness and isolation with the loss of his wife. We also mentioned this fact in the first line of the song, "In the void of a lost one." Number 10 is Cages of Rage. This song is inspired by a breathtaking sculpture named Love by a Ukrainian artist Alexander Milov. He wrote about the sculpture that it demonstrates a conflict between a man and a woman, as well as the outer and inner expression of human nature. The adults, formed by a grating, are seated back to one another, but within their inner selves are executed in the form of children who are holding out their hands through the grating. As it gets dark, the children starts to shine. This shining is a symbol of purity and sincerity that brings people together and gives a chance of making up when the dark times arrives. And this is exactly what we try to reflect in our lyrics as well. Since there are children in the art, we had an idea to use a children choir in the song, and it works just well. I would love to send my huge thanks to the Fine Kids Choir. We are slowly getting to an end. Number 11, Downfall. This is one of my favorite songs because I was dreaming of composing a song like this. It is different because with other songs I had the vocal lines for choruses and verses long before we started to work on the songs. But for Downfall we had just a verse vocal line, so I sat down with Harry and made a shouting light chorus. And this is what I really wanted to have. A shouting song based on one or two words that people would be able to remember them and shout it with me during the gigs. Well, let's see how effective it's going to be for real. The sculpture inspiration lies in Prague. It is a memorial to the victims of communism by Olbram Zoubek. This sculpture inspired me to make a whole album inspired by sculptures. This sculpture attacks me emotionally every time I see it. It is a beautiful and creepy piece of art carrying a sad story. The very last full song is Lost to Time with number 12. It begins like Reveal the Light Within with a powerful choir. That was the idea to open the album and end the album in the similar vibe. What I have to mention here is the long and excellent guitar solo Harry composed. He put a lot of energy into this one and I simply love it. The story behind this song is absolutely crazy. The Galapagos Affair. It tells a story about a series of unsolved disappearances that happened in 1930s. A Norwegian sculptor, Fredrik Raddum, made the whole installation art about this affair. And here we go, outro named Deconstruction. The art that was built and presented in our album has its end. And we can't leave the art just hanging in the air. There has to be a deconstruction that tries to remind you some moments of the album, but it makes you close the chapter and to be occasionally ready to listen to the album The Light Within again. This piece is work of Lars Winter, and it fits with the intro and the whole album. I hope you enjoyed the album. If you didn't hear it yet, now is the perfect time for it. I believe this helped you to understand the idea of the whole album. See you soon for the track-by-track analysis in next week's on Surma's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and have a great time!